Hello everyone and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. 5 arguments in favor of Bill and Taylor's romance. The romance between Taylor Hayes and Bill Spencer must occur. Let's discuss why Taylor and Bill should fall in love, since they could be a fascinating couple if B&B would just give them a chance. 1. Taylor is going to experience more heartache. To begin with, Taylor is going to experience more heartache since Ridge Forrester will shortly be pursuing Brooke Logan once more. Perhaps Bill could be that man for Taylor, as it would be good if someone could assist her pick up the pieces. 2. After Liam passes away, Bill will need someone to rely on. After his son's death, Bill will need someone to rely on because Liam Spencer will eventually meet a terrible end. It's simple to picture Taylor supporting Bill and becoming closer to him in the process. 3. Taylor never succeeds when she waits for a Ridge reunion. When it comes to Ridge, Taylor truly needs to learn her lesson this time. Taylor might come to the realization that she can't keep searching for love when Ridge and Taylor's most recent romance fails. Taylor should stop signing up for hopeless reunions rather than waiting for Ridge to decide he's bored or angry with Brooke. Finding a way forward would be preferable so that Bill could provide a new romance. 4. Bill has been turned down by Katie more times than we can count. In a similar vein, Bill hasn't been successful in his goal of getting back together with Katie Logan. Maybe it would be best for them to remain friends and co-parents since Katie has repeatedly turned Bill down. Might a new relationship with Taylor be the solution for Bill, who might use a fresh start in the romance department? 5. There would be conflict in Taylor and Bill's relationship. There would also be some debate around Taylor and Bill's connection, which is usually amusing in soap operas. Given Luna's most recent evil scheme, Steffy Forrester would object to Taylor falling in love with the man who was able to have Luna Nozawa pardoned. Ridge could become defensive and agitate Brooke because he would undoubtedly disapprove of Taylor dating Dollar Bill. Taylor once shot Bill, so it would add an intriguing element to their tale as well. Taylor Hayes is no stranger to emotional devastation. Over the decades, viewers have seen her repeatedly fall into the same tragic cycle. She falls in love with Ridge Forrester, only to be left in the cold when he inevitably gravitates back toward Brooke Logan. No matter how beautiful or well-intentioned her heart may be, Taylor continues to invest herself in a man whose affections are permanently split. It's a heartbreaking loop, and fans who have followed Taylor's journey from the 90s to now have seen how her devotion to Ridge has kept her trapped in a romantic purgatory. While Taylor may have the nobility of spirit to forgive Ridge's waffling ways, that doesn't mean she should continue to sign up for the same pattern over and over again. Most recently, Taylor allowed herself to hope once more that Ridge could be her endgame. But history is repeating itself yet again, with Ridge showing signs of leaning back toward Brooke, something Taylor surely knew deep down was inevitable. With another disappointment looming large, Taylor is headed for more heartbreak. And this time, she deserves someone to pick up the pieces, someone strong, steadfast, and unexpected. That someone could very well be Bill Spencer. Unlike Ridge, Bill doesn't have one foot constantly in another woman's life. He knows how to love deeply, even obsessively. If given the chance, Bill could offer Taylor something Ridge never has: undivided attention and loyalty. Taylor's resilience after every emotional blow proves she's a survivor. But surviving isn't enough. She deserves joy. She deserves passion. And she deserves a love story that doesn't end with her being discarded for someone else. Bill could be the catalyst for that transformation, turning Taylor from a perpetual victim of Ridge's indecision into a woman who finally claims a relationship on her own terms. 2. Bill will need someone to lean on after Liam's demise. If the whispers are true and Liam Spencer meets a tragic end, it will mark one of the darkest chapters in Bill Spencer's life. Regardless of Bill's flaws, his ruthless business tactics, moral ambiguity, and manipulative schemes, there is no denying that he loves his children deeply. Liam has been a stabilizing force for Bill, someone who grounds him and represents the part of himself that is capable of redemption. Losing Liam would devastate Bill in ways viewers haven't seen before, and it would leave a void that no amount of power or money could fill. In the aftermath of such a loss, Bill will need someone to lean on, someone emotionally intelligent, nurturing, and strong enough to absorb the waves of grief without being drowned by them. Taylor, a psychiatrist with a deep well of compassion and empathy, is uniquely qualified to provide that support. Not just because of her profession, but because of her own lived experience. Taylor has buried a daughter. She knows what it means to lose a child. She knows the kind of pain that twists around your soul and never truly lets go. In many ways, she's the only character who could truly understand Bill's anguish and meet it with authenticity and grace. Through shared grief, Bill and Taylor could build a bond that transcends the superficial. Their connection could be forged in fire, raw, vulnerable, and honest. And from that pain, something deeply beautiful could emerge. Watching Bill drop his mask of bravado and allow Taylor to see his brokenness would be compelling television. It would humanize him in a way few relationships have, and it would show Taylor that she can be loved not just for her beauty or maternal instincts but for the depth of her soul. 3. Waiting for a Ridge reunion never works out for Taylor. Let's face it, every time Taylor puts her heart on the line for Ridge, it's a recipe for disaster. Whether it's because of outside interference, Ridge's inability to let go of Brooke, or simply the toxic cycle of indecision that defines his love life, Ridge and Taylor's reunions never stick. And worse, they always end with Taylor hurt and Ridge somehow emerging relatively unscathed. The dynamic is outdated, tired, and, frankly, unfair to Taylor as a character. After decades of being Ridge's backup plan, Taylor needs to finally wake up to the truth: Ridge will never be hers alone. He may love her in his own way, but he'll always love Brooke just as much, if not more. That kind of split devotion doesn't build a solid foundation for a lasting relationship. If Taylor continues to wait for Ridge to finally choose her without reservation, she's bound to grow older and lonelier with each passing year. It's time for her to close that chapter once and for all. Bill Spencer represents a chance for Taylor to step out of Ridge's shadow. Their relationship wouldn't be about unfinished business or nostalgia, it would be about two people choosing each other in the present moment, with no baggage from decades past. With Bill, Taylor wouldn't have to compete with another woman for affection. She'd be free to experience a romance that isn't haunted by history or contaminated by old rivalries. That kind of clean slate is rare in the soap world, and B&B should seize the opportunity to give Taylor something new. 4. Katie has rejected Bill more times than we can count. On the flip side, Bill has his own romantic disappointments to contend with, chief among them, Katie Logan. While the chemistry between Bill and Katie has always been undeniable, their relationship has been riddled with betrayal, mistrust, and a never-ending loop of reconciliation and rejection. Katie has given Bill numerous chances, and each time he's managed to find a way to ruin them, whether by kissing Brooke, prioritizing his ambitions, or simply failing to live up to Katie's expectations. And now that Katie seems firm in her decision to keep Bill at arm's length, it's time for both of them to move on. Katie deserves peace, and Bill deserves to find someone who can accept all facets of who he is, including his flaws. Taylor, with her understanding nature and capacity for forgiveness, might be the only woman capable of truly seeing and accepting the whole Bill. They both have complex pasts, checkered moral histories, and deeply passionate personalities. Together, they could be a storm that finally calms each other, rather than consumes. Their pairing would also free Katie to explore new dynamics, while giving Bill a storyline that doesn't revolve around begging for forgiveness. Taylor wouldn't make him feel like he constantly needs to atone, she'd let him be himself. And for a man who's always tried to prove his worth through domination and success, being accepted by someone like Taylor would be a transformative experience. 5. Taylor and Bill's relationship would bring drama, and that's a good thing. Last but certainly not least, the dramatic potential of a Taylor-Bill romance is enormous, and on a soap like The Bold and the Beautiful, drama is currency. First, there's the history: Taylor once shot Bill. That event alone is a huge narrative anchor that could be explored with nuance and intensity. A romance that evolves from an act of violence into a genuine emotional bond would be a bold creative choice, rich with conflict and redemption. Watching Bill come to terms with the woman who nearly killed him, and falling for her anyway, would be a story arc unlike anything we've seen before. Then there's the fallout. Ridge would be apoplectic at the idea of Taylor dating Dollar Bill, not just because of the shooting, but because Bill is Ridge's lifelong rival. Ridge's jealousy and outrage would be delicious to watch, and it could even reignite tensions with Brooke, who might find herself inexplicably defending Bill or questioning her own feelings. Meanwhile, Steffi would likely object on moral grounds, especially if she's reeling from Luna Nozawa's latest scheme and views Bill's influence as a liability. Watching the Forrester family implode over Taylor's love life would be soap gold. And let's not forget Sheila Carter. If she's lurking in the shadows, manipulating, scheming, she might see Taylor and Bill as a threat and intervene. The possibilities are endless. Whether it's family backlash, unresolved trauma, or the sheer surprise factor of the pairing, Bill and Taylor could become one of the most buzzworthy couples in years. Will Nick and Brooke remarry? Plus, Jack Wagner juggles 2 shows? Nick Marone and Brooke Logan remarried. Could Jack Wagner participate in both the CBS soap as Nick and the Hallmark channels When Calls the Heart as Jack Avery? Jack taped his CBS soap scenes 6 to 8 weeks before airing, so what viewers will see on June 13th is already filmed. His Hallmark Channel project, When Calls the Heart, begins production on July 1st. It is important to note that it is filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia. B&B is filmed in Los Angeles, California, and Vancouver, Canada, which is directly across the border from Vancouver, Washington. It's only around a 3-hour journey one way, so with careful planning, Jack could easily be on both shows at the same time. Cameron Matheson, another former Hallmark actor who now creates movies for Great American Family, recently filmed Christmas movies in Canada as well as over 100 pages of dialogue for ABC's General Hospital. How would a wedding and honeymoon play out on the show? Many fans believe Jack's return as Nick is intended to make Ridge Forrester jealous, causing him to dump Taylor Hayes for Brooke again. However, this may not be the case. We already know, owing to some leaked photographs on Jack's Instagram, that Nick will propose to Brooke and give her an engagement ring. Ridge may be jealous, but Brooke appears to have learned the waffler isn't worth waiting for to circle back around to her. Nick will mend Brooke's shattered heart, and there will be a wedding and possibly an off-screen honeymoon while Jack films WCTH and Catherine Kelly Lang takes a little vacation. She's been extensively involved in plots for several years and could benefit from a break, albeit studios do go quiet and everyone takes holidays. Finally happy, is the cycle broken? Brooke and Nick were married before, but not multiple times like Ridge. They were married for less than a year, and she was the one who went back to Ridge. However, when Nick presents her with the ring this time, she may realize that all of her anguish with Ridge was not worthwhile. Nick never hurt her, rather, Brooke hurt Nick, and after Brooke, he married Taylor for a year. But if the marriage happens, Brooke will stand by Nick this time and not hurt him again. With Vancouver and Los Angeles only 3 hours apart one way, Jack Wagner could easily appear on both shows. The return of Nick Marone, a game changer? Nick Marone's return to B&B is not just a nostalgic callback, it's a narrative earthquake. Introduced in the early 2000s as the rugged sea captain with a heart of gold, Nick quickly established himself as a refreshing alternative to Ridge Forrester's sometimes aloof, emotionally unavailable persona. His romance with Brooke was passionate, grounded, and full of potential, cut short not by betrayal, but by Brooke's lingering attachment to Ridge. But now, in 2025, times have changed. Brooke has matured, suffered, healed, and perhaps finally learned that chasing destiny often leads to disaster. With Ridge seemingly distracted or indecisive, again, Nick's reappearance may serve as the emotional anchor Brooke needs. And fans are already clinging to every piece of leaked evidence to support this theory. Social media clues and leaked on-set photos. In our modern era of soap spoilers, very little stays secret for long. Jack Wagner's own social media posts, particularly a now viral Instagram photo showing him in full Nick Marone costume on a set that looks suspiciously like Brooke's living room, have fueled speculation that not only is he returning, but his return will involve a proposal. In one particularly telling shot, Jack appears to be holding a small velvet ring box, smiling with that signature Nick Marone charm. It's not a stretch to imagine a scene where Nick, once again, asks Brooke to marry him, only this time under very different circumstances. B&B's filming schedule makes the magic work. So how does Jack Wagner, a man with a starring role on the Hallmark channels When Calls the Heart, WCTH, manage to shoot on two high-profile shows concurrently? The answer lies in logistics, and a very manageable flight schedule. B&B films roughly 6 to 8 weeks ahead of its airdate. That means the scenes airing on June 13th, Wagner's return debut, were filmed sometime in April. Meanwhile, WCTH does not begin production on its next season until July 1st, giving Wagner ample time to finish key scenes on B&B. Moreover, travel between Vancouver, where WCTH is filmed, and Los Angeles, home of B&B's studio, takes just 3 hours one way. With strategic scheduling and commitment from both production teams, it's entirely possible, and highly likely, that Wagner will be able to balance both shows. Other actors, like Cameron Matheson, have already proven this kind of multitasking is not only possible but successful. A new chapter for Brooke? Brooke Logan, played by the tireless and beloved Catherine Kelly Lang, has been at the center of B&B's drama since the show's inception. Her on-again, off-again romance with Ridge Forrester has defined much of the show's romantic tension for over 3 decades. But if the rumors are true and Nick proposes, will Brooke finally break the cycle? That's the question fans are asking, and the one that head writers may be eager to answer. Brooke has repeatedly been burned by Ridge's indecision, his frequent returns to Taylor, and his waffling between women. While he may be her destiny in the eyes of many longtime viewers, he's also been a source of considerable heartache. Nick, in contrast, offered her something rare: emotional security, stability, and respect. He's not without his flaws, but he's always been genuine in his feelings for Brooke. Could this be the redemption arc fans have long craved? The proposal, what we might see. Picture this: a quiet evening at Brooke's house. The sun sets over the LA hills. Nick arrives, fresh from a series of introspective moments with old friends, perhaps even his mother, Jackie Marone. He sits Brooke down, speaks from the heart, and places a ring on her finger. There's no grand spectacle, no paparazzi or family drama, just a sincere moment between two people who once loved deeply, and who might be ready to try again. If this wedding happens, it could serve not just as a new storyline, but as a healing moment for Brooke, a chance to rewrite her legacy not as the woman constantly waiting for Ridge, but as someone who finally chose a man who chose her first, and without hesitation. Will Ridge interfere? Of course, this is B&B, and no major romantic development comes without complications. Ridge Forrester, played by Torsten Kay, may not take kindly to Brooke moving on. Especially not with Nick, a man who has repeatedly served as both romantic and professional competition. Early teasers suggest that Ridge may, indeed, be jealous, but the extent of his actions remains unclear. Will he fight for Brooke again? Will he let her go? Or will he, as some fans hope, finally recognize that he can't have it both ways? There's also Taylor Hayes to consider. If Ridge makes a move toward Brooke, it would inevitably hurt Taylor once more, continuing the cycle fans are growing tired of. Perhaps Ridge, too, must grow, and let Brooke finally have her piece. Off-screen honeymoon equals on-screen opportunity. One practical advantage of Brooke and Nick's wedding? It could offer a seamless way to give Catherine Kelly Lang a brief break from filming. Brooke has been heavily featured in B&B's storylines for years, and a short off-screen honeymoon would allow Lang to rest or pursue other projects. At the same time, Jack Wagner could begin work on When Calls the Heart in Vancouver while still staying active on B&B, especially if Nick and Brooke's honeymoon storyline unfolds through mentions, phone calls, or off-screen letters. A few cleverly scheduled returns to LA would allow Jack to pop in for high-impact scenes without stretching his schedule too thin. Jack Wagner, the soap veteran with range. Jack Wagner is no stranger to balancing complex roles. His acting chops, honed through decades of work on General Hospital, Melrose Place, and The Bold and the Beautiful, are more than up to the task. His performance on When Calls the Heart as Bill Avery has given him a whole new fanbase, and perhaps re-energized his enthusiasm for long-form character arcs. His return to B&B isn't just a win for fans, it's a strategic move that shows Wagner's versatility and enduring popularity. The ability to play two distinct characters, in two completely different settings, the Canadian frontier versus modern-day LA fashion, speaks volumes about his adaptability. Fan reactions: hopeful, cautious, excited. Social media has been ablaze with reactions to Nick's return. Longtime viewers are thrilled at the idea of finally seeing Brooke with someone who might truly value her. Others are skeptical, wary of being hurt again by a storyline that promises growth, only to revert back to the same old triangle. Still, hope abounds. Many fans have pointed out that a Brooke/Nick reunion would feel fresh, especially in contrast to the repeated Ridge-Brooke-Taylor dynamic. The writers have a chance to shake things up, and viewers are hungry for it. Reddit threads, Facebook groups, and YouTube fan channels have all echoed the same sentiment: if Brooke and Nick remarry, make it stick this time. The wedding, will it happen? Nothing is guaranteed in the soap world, and plenty of proposed weddings have gone up in flames, sometimes literally. But if B&B chooses to go through with a Brooke/Nick wedding, it could represent a major turning point for the series. Not only would it mark the return of a fan-favorite character, but it would signal a new direction for Brooke Logan. She would no longer be defined by her history with Ridge, but by a present and future with Nick, someone who always saw her worth, even when she doubted it herself. A broken cycle finally ends? Brooke Logan's romantic history has always been circular. She's fallen in and out of love, made mistakes, forgiven betrayals, and endured more than most characters in daytime television. But perhaps the point of that history isn't the pain, it's the eventual clarity.